Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am Buzz the Noob and thanks for watching Buzz the Noob. And today we are going to be talking about Protection Paladin. Now Protection Paladin is my favorite tank. I've been tanking a Protection Paladin since Wrath of the Lich King. I love the lore, I love the way they play. Heck, I even like the way they look when they're casting a lot of their spells. So today we're going to go over everything and hopefully make you the best Protection Paladin you can be. Be that whether you want to run Mythic Dungeons or raids or just play it for fun, whatever your cup of tea is. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Now, the first thing we're going to talk about is stat priority. Now, there's two different builds for a Protection Paladin that you can currently run with. First build I'm going to talk about is the tanky build. So we're a tank, we want to be tanky, right? So the tank build is going to be haste as much as you can get. You want haste on every piece of gear. If it doesn't have haste, it may not be worth it. Now, if it's 20 item levels, 15 item levels above what you currently have, and it's got Mastery and Critical Strike, Mastery and Burst, Crit Strike Burst, whatever, it may be worth losing that haste. But check out what it does to your percentage. If you're dropping 2 or 3% to get that 20 item levels, make a judgment call. Maybe hold on to that piece, see how you feel after you play it a little bit, okay? Next stat we're going to want is Mastery. Mastery interacts well with a couple of our other abilities, Consecration notably, which you need to have down as much as possible. We'll talk about that in a minute. Third stat you're going to want is Versatility. You're a tank, taking less damage and doing more healing. Always a good thing. So Verse, you're going to want that. On the tank build, the last stat you're going to want is Critical Strike. Okay? Crit Strike, yes, is good. If your Judgment crit strikes, you get more uptime on your Shield of the Righteous, but it's just not really worth it. You've got enough other ways to play with it. So as far as a tank build goes, Crit Strike's the last. Now, there's a second build. It's more of a DPS, I want to hit stuff really hard and I'm already really tanky build. And so for that one, you're going to want to go with Crit Strike first. Do more damage if you got Crit Strike. The next one's going to be Haste, then Verse, and then Mastery. Okay, so it's a little different. I of course, I'm a tank, so I always want to be as tanky as possible. And the tank build doesn't really sacrifice that much in DPS to where going for that DPS build I think is worth it. I think that's more if you're more going into the PvP world. Okay, and I'm not going to talk PvP because I don't know enough about PvP to really talk about it. So that's our stat priority. Always want to go for that stuff. Okay, now if my screen will come up, there we go. So my character's up on the screen right now. So you'll notice I've got a couple gems, and if you're running a lot of benthic gear, you may have more gems than I do. So it just kind of depends on what you have. So let's talk about gems and enchants. So for gems, there's thought on Icy Veins to go get one strength gem and then everything else a haste gem. I'm not 100% sure I agree with that. You have strength on all your gear that you get as it is, so you've already got a decent amount of strength. So I'm not sure adding more, that little bit more strength is really worth it. I always just go more haste, okay? I want to be stacked haste. Now, as you can see looking at my character here, I don't have my haste up quite as high as I want. My mastery is a little higher than my haste. It's okay. It's not that bad. But that's just because I'm gearing through the new patch, and so I've got more mastery than I normally would. So it'll get fixed as I move on through the patch and get higher level gear with more haste on it. Next thing is with your rings. Always get the haste enchants. Get the biggest ones you can afford. I haven't changed out one of my haste enchants simply because I know I'm replacing that ring before too long, and I don't really want to spend the gold. Call me cheap. And then navigation, the quick or the deadly navigation, the haste navigation enchant for your weapon. Always go with that. As you can see, just stack haste. Get as much haste as you can. The more haste you have, the more Shield of the Righteous uptime you have, the more times you're going to be able to cast Hammer, or not Hammer of the Righteous, but Judgment. The more Judgments you can cast, the more Shield of the Righteous you're going to have up. You see how that kind of feeds into each other? So we want to have that up as much as possible. Keep it going. Get as much haste so you can do more things quickly. So what's the next thing we're going to talk about? Well, this is when this video is going to get long, because we're going to go into every spell we have in the game. So we're just going to go through the spell book the way it is when you're at 120. So now this is with my talents already selected, so some of these will change as we go through. Okay, so first thing we got here is Ardent Defender. This is one of your cooldowns. It's actually your smaller of your two defensive cooldowns. I'm not counting Bubble or Hand of or my Blessing of Protection as a defensive cooldown, because you lose aggro when you use them. So well, they are defensive. You can use them defensively, but you have to know what you're doing, and we'll talk about that too. So Ardent Defender, 2-minute cooldown, reduces all damage you take by 20%, and if you die, it'll bring you back up to 20% health. Great cooldown. Use it when you need it. I generally try to use it when I know I've got a big hit coming. So on Gorgonzola, the squid boss in the new raid, whatever its actually name is, I don't care. But Gorgonzola, use that. I use that on pull. I use that, and if I have a Holy Pally, I have them put a Blessing of Sacrifice on me too, just because that first hit is so massive. And then when I come around for my for the tank swap on that fight, I go ahead and use Guardian of Ancient Kings. So I keep my cooldowns refreshed and rotating, because Ardent Defender with a 2-minute cooldown, even though it's reduced by haste, will not be back up in time for that next hit from Gorgonzola. Okay, our next shield, our Captain America. The thing everybody loves about the Prot Paladin is our Avenger's Shield, right? Again, reduced by haste, so I've got a 13-second cooldown on my Avenger's Shield. You're going to hurl your shield, you're going to hit 3 targets standard to any enemy you come in contact with. It's a great snap aggro tool. You cast it, you hit 3 targets, and if you're smart, you're casting it at a caster. Okay, that way they're silenced too. Okay, not only that, but you want to cast Avenger's Shield first, so when you cast Shield of the Righteous to get your active mitigation going, or AM as I'll call it the rest of the time, you're going to have a 20% increase on your Shield of the Righteous. Always good. If I'm 20% better, I'm 20% better off of casting a spell that I should be casting anyways. Avenging Wrath. Awesome that we have a offensive cooldown. This is on a 2-minute cooldown. I like to pop this on boss pulls. Obviously try to keep it to where it's up back on hero. So this is great for getting your snap aggro on a boss. Okay. This increases your crit strike, healing, damage, everything by 20%. You can't go wrong with that. You cannot go wrong with the 20% increase to all those items. So that's really good. So go ahead and be using Avenging Wrath. It is a 2-minute cooldown. There's ways to reduce that, so yours will come up faster. There's talents and other items to increase that. So I am currently, because I'm actually in my dungeon run set, I actually have Blessed Hammer up. I like Blessed Hammer for doing Mythic Pluses, because most of Mythic Plus is what? Trash pulls, right? So Blessed Hammer does a little spirally hammer that does very little damage, but it weakens all enemies it does from their next auto attack by 12%. Now the reason this doesn't really matter when you're fighting a boss is generally their auto attacks don't hit that hard. Or well, they're hit hard, but they don't do enough auto attacks. That's not what you're worried about on a boss. So, but when you're running a Mythic Plus, you want to be running this, because most of the time you're fighting with, you know, all the mobs, and they're coming at you, and you've got more auto attacks than spell damage or anything else. So if you can reduce that by 12% all the time, that's great. Blessing of Freedom, the first blessing we're going to talk about. That's going to make you immune to movement effects. So if you get rooted, snared, and something like that, it doesn't work against fear, but it does roots and snares. It's great. It's a good get out of jail free card in case you forget to move out of something that you shouldn't. Blessing of Protection, or BOP. So again, you can talent in another one. We'll talk about that with talents. Blessing of Protection, BOP, it's physical damage. This is great during a dungeon or a raid, because you see a healer start dipping low, you start seeing somebody start dipping a little bit low, you throw a bop on them, they've got a few seconds where they can recover, heal themselves up, and not have to worry about physical damage. Now again, this is just physical damage, okay? So this isn't all damage. So Queen Ashara, not going to do any dang good on her because all that's arcane damage. But it is really good for physical damage if you've taken a lot of that. So Blessing of Sacrifice. So again, nice thing about being a Prot Pally is we can help the group out so much. So we've already got freedom, somebody gets rooted or snared. We got protection, physical damage, we can help that out. Blessing of Sacrifice. You take, so blesses a party or raid member, reducing their damage taken by 30%, but you suffer 100% of damage prevented. Lasts 12 seconds or until transferred. Damage would cause you to fall below 20% health. So you can't kill yourself with this, but you can get to your one-shot range depending on where you're at. But this is another great tool. You see your healer taking a little bit of damage. You're in a Seguin week or a Grievous week like we are this week. See your healer's dropping a little low because he's got some stacks. Drop that Blessing and Sacrifice on him. He can heal himself back up. That way he can worry about you again. Okay, because if your healer's dead, you're not going to be too far behind him, even though we do have some good self heals. Next spell is Cleanse Toxins. This is great for when you're running Underrot. I use this a lot in Underrot because I was just there last night. And get rid of a poison or disease effect. I mean, come on. That's always good. Help your healer out. If you're taking it, if you're the only one with it, use it on yourself. If you're not, maybe use it on somebody else who can't take the ticks as well as you can, again, as a tank. Consecration. Now this spell should be up 100% of the time. Yes, it sucks because when you're moving, this does not move with you. But it does consecrate the land beneath you. It lasts for 12 seconds. And it does holy damage. It also increases your mastery so you take less damage, okay? I don't know why that's not in the tooltip, but it's not. So you want this down all the time so you're taking less damage. Contemplation. I don't even have this on my action bars. This is a silly spell. It just, you meditate. Whatever. Useless. Divine Shield. This is your immunity. This is your bubble. This is where Pallies get the, infamous, oh, the Pally bubble, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. It's in my abilities. I'm going to use it. All damage. 8 seconds. Totally immune. Now, again, you don't want to use this when you're tanking unless you got a certain talent on or, you're just trying to grief your group, I guess. And it would be kind of funny. You could pull the boss, bubble taunt, or bubble, hearth back, kill the whole group. Of course, you're probably getting kicked from your guild if you do that. So, I'm not recommending that. So, but great for, I need to heal up. PvP, it's great for. If you know what you're doing and know how to bubble taunt, that's great too. Excuse me. Divine Steed. Leap atop a charger for 3 seconds, increasing movement speed by 100%, usable while indoors or in combat. This is great because we don't have a lot of mobility as a Prot Paladin. I always make fun of myself as I'm the fat Draenei running around, and I'm really slow, even though I'm a goat and I'm pretty tall. I don't understand why I'm so slow. But we are. But, so we got Divine Steed. It allows us to move fast for a couple seconds. I do generally, depending on where I'm at, again, I'm in my dungeon run set, so I have got the talent that allows me to have 2 charges of this, which is good, so I can help move from pack to pack to pack. Just makes it that much easier. Flash of Light, just a heal spell. It is a pretty decent one, 30,000 health, so it's about a lock. It's a little less than a lock cookie, but you've got it, and you can heal yourself up in between pulls and stuff like that. Even if you're taking a lot of damage and you realize your healer is trying to keep the rest of the group up, you can actually stop attacking the boss, cast some Flash of Lights on yourself if your Light of Protector is down, help keep yourself up. And it's really good for like this week when we're in Grievous, and you can try to keep yourself up as much as possible. Help your healers out, keep some mana going. Guardian of Ancient Kings. This is our big defensive cooldown. It is a 50% reduction for 8 seconds. Okay, that's huge. That's one of the bigger cooldowns in the game. It is on a 5-minute cooldown, so it does take a long time to recharge, so you need to know when to use this, okay? You need to learn the fights, because if you use it at the wrong time, you're going to need it later. But especially in raid fights, this should be used once every raid fight. If you're not using it, I don't know what to tell you. Use it, okay? Figure out a good spot to use it, to get it done, make sure you stay alive. Hammer of Justice, it's our stun. It's on a 1-minute cooldown. Different things reduces that cooldown, and so you want to be able to work with that as well. So be sure you're using Hammer of Justice. It's good for interrupting if your interrupts on cooldown, depending on what you're fighting. Some things obviously it's not going to work on. Best thing to learn how to do that, try it. If it doesn't stun them, it doesn't stun them. Move on. Hand of Reckoning, this is our taunt. Okay, that's it. Use it when you need it. If you're playing right, you're not going to need this that often, honestly. You know, if you've got a group of like 6 mobs and they're attacking the wrong thing, maybe you'll need it. But honestly, with Consecration and Avenger Shield, you shouldn't really need a taunt as a tank, as a Paladin tank. I'm just sorry, you're not doing it right if that's the first thing you do. We'll talk about rotation after, but Judgment. Okay, I am talented to where I have 2 Judgment charges. Baseline is 1. It does have a 5-second recharge. Again, by haste affects that. Deals this is one of our bigger hitting spells. 9,394 holy damage, and reducing. This is a big part about this. This is why this is so important. It reduces the remaining cooldown on Shield of Righteous by 2 seconds or 4 seconds on a critical strike. Okay, so your Shield of Righteous already has a pretty long cooldown. Every time we do this, that's 2 seconds. Initially, right off the bat, you got 2 of them, so that means bare minimum you're reducing that by 4 seconds, maybe 8 seconds if you're lucky on critical strikes. But again, we don't count on that. So with 4 seconds off that Shield of Righteous cooldown, that's a big deal. Help you get more of that Shield of Righteous up. Okay. Lay on Hands, another one of those infamous Paladin abilities that people are like, oh, the Paladin never uses Lay on Hands, especially in PvP world, right? I don't care. I've got the ability. I'm going to use it. It's got a huge cooldown, 10 minutes. But this one's great because it heals you or a friendly target for amount equal to your maximum health. Currently, right now with the build I'm running, I'm at 425 hit points, okay? That means I don't care who you are. If I cast this on you, you're at 100% health. I can use this. I use this one when I look and I'm about 20% health. I use it on myself if I need it, okay? Use it. Take care of your friends. Take care of your healers. If you see a healer, you know, somewhere about to die, use your Lay on Hands on him if you got it. It does cause forbearance, so you can't use some of your other abilities, but don't worry about that too much. This is only 30 seconds, and if you're using it on somebody else, you're not bubbling them anyways, right? Light of the Protector. This is our self-heal. It is on the global cooldown. I friggin' despise this, okay? But this will call down the light to heal you for 32,116, blah, 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 whatever. 32k, we're just going round numbers up from this point. This is increased by up to 200% based on your missing health. So this isn't a huge heal initially. You know, 32k, not a big deal. But that does, the lower your health gets, the more that heals. And here's the fun part too. When you pop your wings, this will crit strike automatically. So if you pop your wings, and you're at 50% health, you hit Light of the Protector, snap, you're 100%. I've used this. I've actually gotten all the way down to 25 with that crit strike, 25% health. Use crit strike, use Light of the Protector, have my wings up, bam, I'm 100% health. It's almost a Lay on Hands when you've got everything rolling right. Of course, you have to, you know, get lucky sometimes on that. So you don't want to use this ability until you are 25% or I'm sorry, you're at 75% or lower. If you're using it any earlier than that, A, you're using up a global cooldown. B, it's not doing as most health you can heal. Now, if you're done with the fight and you just want to snap yourself up real quick and heal yourself, yeah, go ahead and use it. Who cares? You got 14-second cooldown. Again, Reduced by haste. Again, so you've got talents that help reduce that as well. Rebuke. This is our interrupt. Now, not only does our shield interrupt, but we have rebuke that interrupts. So if you're not interrupting as a protection paladin, what are you doing? Fix it. Fix it. Interrupt. Interrupt, interrupt, interrupt. Check your interrupt on your details. See how you're doing on that. Because if you're not at the top of the interrupts, you're not playing right. You're doing something wrong. Seriously. Spellcasters are #1 enemies for all tanks. You want to interrupt them. So use this. Use your shield. Now, is your shield as reliable as this interrupt? No. And the reason is that you're using your shield in your offensive kit, right? But if you know that the guy's about to cast a spell, and you know your interrupt's on cooldown, and all your buddies is on cooldown too, and your shield just pops up, save your shield, interrupt. Alright, have I got the interrupt through? Redemption is your resurrection spell. It is not usable in combat, unfortunately, so, but it's good if you're soul stone on a boss fight for some reason, and you wipe, you can, after the fight, you can always use the soul stone on yourself, res a healer, get everybody back up, save the corpse run, right? Seraphim, we're going to talk about that with talents, because that is 100% a talent. Shield of the Righteous has a 15-second recharge. Like I said, that's a huge recharge. Alright? It's going to slam all enemies in front of you with your shield, causing 4,000 holy damage and increasing your armor by 12,000 for 4.5 seconds. So you got a 15-second recharge, you have 3 charges, and you have a 4.5 second active mitigation uptime. Anybody see a problem here? Okay. So this is why it's so important that you get those judgments out. That's why judgment is your #1 offensive ability. You need to have Shield of the Righteous up as much as possible. When we have Shield of the Righteous up, we are really strong. When we don't have Shield of the Righteous up, we're a little weaker. No, not a little weaker, we're a lot weaker. So keep this up as much as possible. With some of the Azurite traits and some of the effects, this can be up a lot. I've actually, with running Nullification Dynamo, I've had this up for 106% of a boss fight. How do I have it up for 106% of the boss fight? WoW logs? I don't know. But I do. So, Nullification Dynamo with this, awesome. Okay? Grand Crusader. So when you avoid a melee attack or use Hammer the Righteous, you have a 20% chance to reset the remaining cooldown on Avenger Shield. That's always good. Alright, so 20% reset. Azurite talents can change that and make that a little bigger. So keep that in mind. So we always want to be avoiding stuff, and we want to be using the Hammer of the Righteous. Mainly just to get this proc. I mean, that's a big reason we use Hammer the Righteous or Blessed Hammer, okay? That's why we want to use that. Okay? Heart of the Crusader, just a passive, move 20% faster. Okay, nothing you can do about it. Mastery Divine Bulwark, reduces all damage taken while inside your consecration by 7.1%, increasing your chance to block melee attacks by 20.4%. 20.4%, also increases your attack power by 20.4%. Okay, that's where I'm at. Okay, your mastery is going to affect where you're at on that, but that's why you always want your consecration down, so you can have this ability on you. So you, while you're in it, again, huge 7.1% automatic damage reduction. That's huge. Okay. Then your block chance up by 20.4%. That's going to feed into Grand Crusader. That's going to feed into you doing more, judgments and shields. Always good. Okay, and your attack power, hey, who doesn't want to hit harder, right? So that's our spells. Alright. Let's look at talents, and then I'm in the garrison strictly, so I've got some target dummies I can hit in the face, right? So I can show you guys what the rotation should be. And talking through it and doing it may be a little screwy, so don't judge me too hard on that, okay? So our talents. So on our first row, we have really 2 talents that we need to talk about. Readout, don't take Readout. It's not worth it. Yes, your shield bounces 1 more person, who cares? And increases your block by 75% for 8 seconds. I know that sounds really good, But I promise you, Holy Shield and Blessed Hammer is so much better. Don't bother with Redoubt. It's not worth ever taking. Okay. So Holy Shield, I use this more in raids than I do in Mythic Plus. Again, I'm set up for my Mythic Plus. This is kind of how I run Mythic Plus, as you can see right here. Your block chances increase by 15%. That's always good. You are able to block spells. Always good. And your successful blocks deal 1200 damage, holy damage to your attacker. Hey, a little bit extra damage, always good. So again, this can be used in Mythic Plus, that's fine. High Magic Mythic Pluses, Yasma from Tal Dazor would be a good place to use this at, which means you're using it in all of the Tal Dazor, but there's plenty of magic coming out in that fight, in that dungeon, so might as well. But that's a good one. So it's kind of these two. This one is situational. Blessed Hammer, like I said, you want to use this. I want to use this in Mythic Pluses. I want that extra auto attack damage down by 12% by just hitting them with a spell in my rotation, because why not? So it just kind of depends on where you really feel like being there. Okay, now, not a big deal either way you go, but that's just how I look at it. I think this is raid, I think this is dungeons. Okay, and heck, if you got enough tomes, switch into this while you're fighting all the ads in between stuff, you know, if you're really into that. If you have that kind of gold. First Avenger, on your 30 talent row. Avenger Shield now deals 50% increased damage to first target hit. Grand Crusader has an additional 10% chance to occur. And not really worth it. Really, the only thing here is Crusader's Judgment. Gives you 2 charges, okay? Judgment reduces cooldown of Shield of the Righteous. This is why this is so important. Yes, that sounds cool, but that's a proc chance. We're a tank. We don't like procs. We want stuff to be consistent. Okay? So if I can consistently turn down the time on my Shield of the Righteous, I'm going to do that. As opposed to having a 10% chance that my Grand Crusader will proc, which is giving me another shield, which actually doesn't do anything for my defense. Yeah, so Crusader's Judgment. Bastion of Light. I've played around with this a little bit, and depending on, you know, if your haste is really low and you're running a Seraphim build like I am right now, maybe, probably not. Yeah, I mean, it does, or if you're in a boss fight, Organzoa maybe, because you know you can get that 3 more Shield of the Righteous up. Now it does have a 2-minute cooldown, and I'm not a math guy, so it might turn out just a little bit better than Crusader's Judgment on like a very specific fight like that, but really it's not going to be worth taking. So Crusader's Judgment really the only choice in the 30 row. The 45 row, 99.9% of the time, I'm running Fists of Judgment. I just like Fists of Judgment because my Judgment Fists of Justice, which reduces, using Judgment, reduces the cooldown of my Hammer of Justice by 6 seconds, which means as opposed to a minute cooldown, I'm really at a 30-second cooldown on my stun. That can be huge, okay? So I like doing that. Most of the time, that's where I'm at, okay? Repentance, if I'm running a full pug group into a Mythic Plus, I may go with Repentance just because I know I have a CC that I can use, that I can target, that I know which one it is. But that's when I 100% don't know anybody in the group. We're not running voice comms. We may say hi to each other. So just whatever. Repentance isn't bad. None of these are bad. You can run any of these, really. So there's no right answer. I'm just saying I like Fists of the Justice most. Blinding Light. The end boss of the first raid, this expansion, and I've totally forgot. Gahoon. Wow. I used Blinding Light in Gahoon, and the reason was 100% when all those little worm ads popped up, I wanted more interrupts. So I would get close to a couple of them, I'd hit them with the Blinding Light, throw a Consecration down, run somewhere else, and go hit somebody else, one of the other worms in the face. because as a tank, I wasn't tanking the big ad. I was taking care of these guys because I had more interrupts on my co-tank. So I was throwing out as many interrupts as I could. So Blinding Light in that situation was really good. It's still a really good talent. As long as you've got paladins and you're doing holy damage, you're awesome. The 60 talents. Retribution Aura shouldn't exist. Why it's still in the game after 3 expansions, I don't know. It sucks. It's horrible. No one uses it. Blizzard, make it go away. No. Bye. It's not worth it. If this is things proccing when you're a tank, you're doing something wrong. Okay? It shouldn't exist for the tanks, period. Cavalier. That's how you get 2 charges of your Divine Steed. Good talent. Again, I use it a lot. But I also use Blessing of Spell Warding a lot. I like Blessing of Spell Warding because it does replace your Blessing of Protection. Okay? Not a big deal. I could have just read that on the tooltip as opposed to moving around. But hey, whatever. I'm still new to this, guys. Give me a break. But it reduces all magical damage. Okay? Blesses a party array member, granting immunity to magical damage and harmful effects for 10 seconds. Okay? This is huge for like necrotic weeks. Okay? It's huge for Queen Ashara because I don't have to CC stuff. I don't have to line of sight stuff. Ha 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 ha. I get a cheat. I love being a paladin sometimes because you get a cheat. So Blessing and Spell Warding, huge for that kind of stuff. So kind of know where you're going will depend on what you've got. Again, because I am set up for my dungeon running, a little less magical effects going out, more time running in between stuff. I want to get there faster, right? So I've got two charges of my horse. Blessing Spell Ward's awesome though. I love them both. So know where you're at, know when to use them. 75 talent row. All 3 of these are viable options. Again, it depends on where you're at. Unbreakable Spirit reduces the cooldown of your Divine Shield, Ardent Defender, and Lay on Hands by 30%. That's huge. Okay, so let's go ahead and just talent into that. And so like Lay on Hands is normally 10 minutes. That makes it down to 7 minutes. That's a huge. Ardent Defender, 2 minutes, 1.4 minutes. Okay, so if you're in a progression fight, okay, like we're progressing on Queen's Court and Heroic in my guild, I'm going to be running Unbreakable Spirit because that gives me more cooldowns. More cooldowns means better chances of me living. Me living means more people live and we kill the boss. Period. Okay? So Unbreakable Spirit for progression, absolutely awesome. Final Stand. Okay, I like Final Stand. Again, this is my dungeon run setup. Now I've got most of the time I'm running with a healer friend of mine, so I know he doesn't really need me to help him heal all that much, so that's why I use this talent as opposed to Hand of the Protector. Divine Shield, Bubble Taunt. You use your bubble, you're immune to all damage for 8 seconds, and everything within 15 yards of you come at you for 8 seconds. You are God mode for 8 seconds. So you can do stupid pulls as long as you can kill everything in 8 seconds. Okay, so just keep that in mind. But you are literally God mode for 8 seconds. There's nothing anybody can do to you. Awesome, awesome ability. Okay, and like this week with Necrotic and Grievous, Seguin and Grievous, which sucks. I hate those two. Who's worried about Grievous stacks when you can bubble them off? It doesn't matter. Hand of the Protector. So if you're playing around with a healer who either is a little undergeared from where you're at or you don't know as well, something like that, Hand of Protector is a good way to go, especially if you're going into something a little lower content than what you know you can handle, because it changes your Light of the Protector into the Hand of Protector, and now you can cast that on another party member. Now, this is still on the global cooldown, because if it wasn't, then this would obviously be the go-to talent. But with it being on the global cooldown, that it just screws up your rotation, and nobody really wants to worry about it too much. So we don't run that as much as we did, say, in Legion. We did run that almost all the time in Legion because it's fun to spot heal. It's one of the reasons we like playing Protection Paladins, right? So, Hand of the Protector, it's a great talent. Again, I only really run it if I know my healer's going to need some help, or if I know I'm seriously outgeared and I just want to screw around, right? And do some of the other fun Prot Pally stuff. But, you know, basically Unbreakable Spirit Final Stand is where I sit at. Hand of the Protector, you know, once we finish the raid and we got it on farm mode, I'll probably go there just to see if I can beat a healer on, you know, healing, because that's funny. Judgment of Light. This is what I run most of the time when I'm doing dungeons. I'm sorry, when I'm doing raids. It's Judgment of Light. Reason is, Judgment now causes the next 25 successful attacks against the target to heal the attacker for 573. There's a lot of stuff tied into our judgments. Okay, that's why I like running Judgment of Light in raids, because I hit the boss, everybody's getting, I mean, it's just a little bitty trickle heal, but that little bitty trickle heal may make the difference in that fight. So just keep that in mind. Any little bit you can do helps out. Consecrated Ground is generally where I'm at for Mythic Plus. Makes my consecration a little bigger, and more importantly than making it bigger, which is important enough in and of itself, so you have more room to run around in, but it also reduces enemies' movement speed by 50%. Now, if you got a Death Knight, if you're running Blood Death Knight and you've got your Death and Decay and it's 90% reduction, this 50% reduction is garbage, who cares? But 50% is good. I did use this a lot on Opulence. Had to think of the boss there. Because of the little ads that pop out. So you drop that consecration right in the center, right when they come out, it slows everything down. And this is a way that Paladins can tank. It can kite. So you've got a necrotic week, you've got too many stacks of necrotic up, you drop your consecrated to ground, pop your cavalier, run away. They'll walk out of your consecrated ground, you'll drop another one, run away. Okay? And that way you stay far enough ahead of them, your stacks fall off. Alright? So keep that in mind. You can kite as a Prot Paladin. Lots of people are like, oh, Prot Paladins can't kite. Yes, you can. You just have to know how to play the class. Consecrated Crown, slow them down, use your Cavalier, get away. Consecrated Crown is such a, you know, your consecration is a 3.8 second cooldown. It's a 12-second ability on the ground. You can literally move this as you're going. Now, it doesn't move with you. We'll talk about that when I go into what I think Prot Paladin's still lacking. Aegis of Light. It's not a bad talent, but you're going to need to be extremely needing. I'm trying to think of how to word this. You're not going to use this very often. It's a weird raid cooldown. Everybody's got to be behind you, which means they got to be in front of the boss, or you've got to be off tanking to use this correctly. I've used this in a couple fights. Fed Devour when we were on progress to help out with some of the damage that was coming out. Very, very rare, very niche fights. Maybe if you're the third tank in Mythic on Lady Ashvane and all you're doing is soaking bubbles, maybe give yourself an extra 20%. You know, that's never going to hurt. But of course, you're a sacrificial lamb at that point. So, anyway, I don't know. Very niche, not bad, very, very, very niche. Okay, and just you get positioning is very important, because again, for it to hit your raid group, they have to be behind you, which means they've got to be in front of the boss, or you've got to not be tanking the boss at the time. So it's very weird. Could use some work. I think it'd be kind of cool if they could tweak it somehow. I don't know, make it like a holy priest bubble, right? Something like that. That'd be kind of cool. All right, third row, all three of these are good talents. So we'll start with Seraphim simply because I've got it up. So Seraphim, Light temporarily magnifies your power, increasing haste, crit, mastery, and verse by 1,000. Consumes up to 2 charges of Shield of the Righteous and lasts 8 seconds per charge. So guess what? Use this when you've got 2 charges, okay? You always want to use it when you got 2 charges. While you're learning how to play this, you're going to be using it when you have 1. It's going to be weird. But if you can use Seraphim with wings, with a pre-pot, you're going to get those Shield of the Righteous charges back real fast anyway, so it's not going to matter. So use that with 2 charges. It's really good. You're going to be critting constantly. It's an awesome ability. Just, it's fun. But this, again, I use this more for, I want to do more damage. I'm in a Mythic Plus. We need to kill stuff faster. With everything I have on this character, with Anima of Life and Death, with my beam for being a Lightforged Draenei, with Seraphim, with wings, with Justice Howler, even without a pot, I can burst up to about 50k damage on a group pull. So again, talking about bubble taunting, I grab a first big old group, pull, hit Seraphim, hit my wings, do all that other stuff. I'm 60k damage to that group. That's friggin' fun, okay? And it's always fun when you're on voice comms and you're yelling at your DPS when they're going to keep up, you know, if they're going to be able to handle that. So, but if you want to do some serious damage, trash-wise, Seraphim, fun. Even boss-wise, it's fun. Righteous Protector, Shield of the Righteous reduces remaining cooldown on Light of the Protector and Avenging Wrath by 3 seconds. I generally run this in raids because now my Shield of the Righteous, which I'm using as much as possible, is going to reduce Light of the Protector and Avenging Wrath. So I get my wings more often. I get my heal more often. So it's a win-win. More times I can pop wings, that does more damage. Now, in a strictly damage standpoint, Seraphim is better, okay? But for getting those more heals out, you're not going to get as many heals out with Seraphim as you are with Righteous Protector. So, in a raid environment, you're taking a lot more damage than you are in a Mythic Plus environment where your damage output's more important than your damage input. All right, so that's why I switch back and forth between the two. All right. Last Defender, fun talent. Unfortunately, it did get nerfed near the beginning of the expansion, but hey, whatever. But each enemy within 8 yards reduces the damage that you take and increase the damage you deal by up to 3%. Of course, with that they did at the beginning of the expansion, it was funny because they didn't have a cap on this. So there's an infamous video of a Prot Paladin killing Mother in like 2 hits. It was ridiculous on heroic when the raid had been out for like 2 weeks. No, not supposed to happen like that. Nerfed it into the ground. It's still fun. It's good. Again, it's more of a Mythic Plus one. Raw damage, Seraphim's better. Last Defender, just play around with it. It's passive. So if you're learning how to play a Prot, if you're watching this because you're learning, I would go with Last Defender as opposed to Seraphim. You're going to do a little more damage than standard, but with Last Defender and Seraphim's got a little bit of a learning curve to it. So see where you're at. When you're comfortable, jump over to Seraphim. Last Defender's the weakest one out of this row, but all 3 are good. Last thing I want to talk about before I go into rotation and we look at that is our Azurite essences. Okay, now I am still missing, 3 because I suck and I don't do PvP, so I don't know if I'll ever get Conflict and Strife. I don't do PvP, so I don't know if I'll ever get Ripple in Space and Sphere of Suppression. Yeah, I just haven't done the Warfront because I hate Warfronts. They're boring. They annoy me. I don't like them. Anyway, so Anima of Life and Death. This talent is fun in Mythic Plus. This does give you... So I'm just going to read this because it does so much. So this is rank 2, okay? Which is easy enough to get. It's like a +7 or better right now. That's so easy. Go and do it. Have a guild help you out. Pay for a carry. I don't care. Get it. It's fun. So, major power. This is an effect. You have to push the button. Draws upon your vitality to sear your foes, dealing 10% of your maximum health and fire damage to all nearby enemies, and heal you for 5% of your maximum health per enemy hit, up to 25% of your maximum health. Yes, please. I will do that all day long, every time that's off cooldown. It is a 2-minute cooldown. Really cool. Minor power. Azurite energy courses through your veins, increasing maximum health by 4,000 every 5 seconds, stacking up to 10 times. So that's 40,000 extra health points. Prot Paladins, we have the lowest health point percentage in the game for tanks. It's just how our stamina works. They do that because we have so many defensives. Okay, that's how they balance us. We're never going to have the most. It's not going to happen. So when you see a Death Knight or a Demon Hunter or literally any other tank and they're like, oh, I've got more hit points than you, be like, yeah, stupid, I'm a Prot Paladin. Of course you do. So that's huge. That's how I'm up to 425. Otherwise, I'd be at like 389 or something like that. Anyway, this does go away if you fall below 35% health. So it's kind of that risk-reward thing. So, yeah, whatever. It builds back up. Fun talent. Use it as your major talent in Mythic Pluses. Okay? It's really what it's there for. Memory of Lucid Dreams. If your haste is low, or if you just need more Shield of the Righteous, which we all do, you want to be running Memory of Lucid Dreams. Now, I'm running it as its minor, but its major is a 2-minute cooldown. Clear your mind and tune yourself with the Heart of Azeroth, increasing your Shield of the Righteous recharge rate by 100% for 15 seconds. Alright, so if you use this as its major, you're going to have, like I said, I was running this as my major for a little while in raids, had 106% uptime. Are you friggin' serious? How is that even possible on boss fights? I mean, it's ridiculous. It was so much fun, though. I never had to worry about it. I was tank god. I loved it. Shield of the Righteous and Seraphim have a chance to refund 50% of the charges consumed and heal you for 15,000. That's the passive. So that's what I'm running right now. So that's really good with running the Seraphim build because you're using 2 Shield of the Righteous charges. Have a 50% chance to give you another, to only use 1 and get this credit for 2. Great. Now I've still got 2 shields to protect myself. And it's going to refund them faster. No, it's not. And it heals me. That's cool. It's fun. It's a great. I really like it. It's really fun. Crucible of Flames. No. No. Just no. I've got rank 2 just because you can't help but get it. I'll get rank 3 when it comes and blah. Vision of Perfection. Now this one, I'm sad. This one makes me sad. I may use this when I get my 65 open for the passive, but I was really hoping that this was going to be stronger than it is. But it's not, so I think every Protection Paladin was hoping this was going to be stronger than it was. But basically your spells and abilities have a chance to activate, and this is passive, you don't have to do anything. Your spells and abilities have a chance to activate Avenging Wrath for 35% of its base duration. Okay, that's pretty good. It's not as good as we all thought it was going to be, but yeah, it is what it is. Passive reduces the cooldown of Avenging Wrath by 16.8%, and when you activate Avenging Wrath, immediately heal for 5% of maximum health. Okay, so if I put this in, let's put this in there, my Avenging Wrath is down to a 1.7 minute cooldown, and that's without changing any. I'm still not in. I could get that lower. I want to put that one back in there. Roll Vein Resonance, Raid Essence, only be used for a minor slot, since we're obviously in melee all the time. This is going to be really good for Ashara. Not Ashara, I'm sorry. Ash Vein, Lady Thickness. Have all your melee. Of course, the guild leader, raid leader, they need to be like, okay, all melee works Roll Vein Resonance, because that's going to give you more lifeblood shards, which... So let's read what this does. So the passive, every 18 to 25 seconds, a lifeblood shard erupts from the nearby ground for 18 seconds. Okay, what does a lifeblood shard do, though? It grants you and any other ally using this 200 primary stat while within 8 yards of the shard. You can benefit from a maximum of 4 shards at a time. Okay? So if your whole melee group is running this, you're going to have 4 shards up at a time. You only need to use it as a passive, and you're all going to be getting, 4 times 200 is, a lot, because math. And yeah, so 800, right? 2, 4, 6, yeah. You're going to have 800 more primary stat. That's like a potion, an older potion, but it's still a lot. So if everybody's got that and it's up all the time, that's pretty cool. Again, don't ever put this as a major. It's not worth it as a major. Don't use it as a major. No, bad. Aegis of the Deep. So the elements protect you, reducing the damage you take from each attack by 5,000 for 15 seconds. You gain 65 versatility for each enemy within 10 yards, up to 650. Honestly, I haven't played with this any. It is a 1.5 minute cooldown. Seems okay. I prefer Azeroth's Undying Gift if I've got a choice between the two to put in my major. Because that's a lower cooldown. It's 1 minute as opposed to 1.5 minute at level 1. And this reduces 4,737 for 15 seconds. This is a 20% reduction, which can be bigger on the boss fight. So if you need another defensive cooldown, which in some of these boss fights you will, Lady Ashvane hits like a truck, Organzoa hits like a truck. This is a good one for I need another defensive. And that's what it's for. So give yourself another defensive on a 1 minute cooldown. That means, man, you would have Azeroth's Undying Gift, you'd have Ardent Defender, you'd have Guardian of Kings. If you have it, Bubble Taunt, which is, again, not probably the best idea in a raid, but whatever. That's really good. So if you're dying a lot and you need another cooldown, go with this one. And it's pretty easy to get. This is a raid one, so I want to say it's easy, but it's not hard. I'll have rank 2 next week, rank 3 in a week or two after that, just trying to get it all done. And that's that. And then we have Nullification Dynamo. This is from Rustbolt Resistance. God, I gotta get up on them because it sucks. This is going to be huge for certain fights. Ashara again, because this deals with magic damage, arcane damage. So if you're taking a lot of arcane damage, I'm going to use Queen Ashara as an example because everything is pretty much arcane damage except for like the spear. You're taking a butt ton of damage. So on a 3 minute cooldown at rank 1, gain an empowered null barrier absorbing 144,000 magic damage for 10 seconds. Passively, you're going to gain every 20 seconds a null barrier absorbing 29,000 magic damage for 10 seconds. That's not huge on that passive, but that major is going to be huge when Queen Ashara is about to blow up and do something big, right? So you can use this, nullify a lot of the damage, hopefully block, even nullify more damage. That's going to be huge on that fight. I'm glad I've got it. I've got to get up to Revered before my guild gets to Ashara, so I've got the rank 2 because that's going to reduce the cooldown by 25% and every 15 seconds as opposed to 20 seconds. So huge for magic fights. So rating, Azeroth's Undying Gift, Nullification Dynamo, these would be the 2 you're wanting to use in there for your major. Major for Mythic Plus, Anima of Life and Death. I would say Memory of Lucid Dreams is one of your minors. Just the Shield of Righteous refund is huge. You want that up. The PvP ones that I don't have, I don't understand why anybody would want this. That's why I really don't care anyways. My Divine Seed lasts an additional 2 seconds. I don't care. And it gives me a small chance for versatility. Versatility is not my #1 stat on either build, so I don't care. Ripple in Space. You can move. Okay, whatever. I don't see the big deal about this one. Sphere of Suppression. It unleashes a heavy pulse of suppressive energy, reducing the movement and speed of all enemies within 15 yards by 70% and reducing their attack speed by 25%. Yeah, that could be good. I don't know. Maybe not so much for protection paladins. I don't know. When an enemy melee attacks you, their movement speed is reduced by 30% and you gain 305 haste for 5 seconds. The passive's pretty good. Yeah. So, go do a Warfront. Sorry. I don't like them either. I guess I should go do... Yeah. Okay. I know. Bad tank. So, let's go ahead and let's deal with my... Do I even have a tanking dummy anymore? No. Okay. It doesn't matter. We're not here to do damage. We're just here to show rotation. So, let's go ahead and talk about this. So we're just going to do a rotation. Yes, it's a training dummy. Yes, I'm going to kill it really fast because they don't have the training dummy anymore. So, if I'm on a raid fight, first thing I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and pop wings, use my Just Howler, and use my Seraphim. Let me go ahead, and I'm just going to use Anima of Life and Death for now, just because it's fun. And then Light's Judgment. So this is what it's going to look like on the pre-pull. It's going to be Wings, Just Howler, Seraphim. That on the pull, hit, use my shield, Judge, Consecration, get that down, Hammer, Judge. Yes, I got the proc for the shield, but it's more important to Judge. Okay? Hammer, Judge, Hammer, Spinny Hammer, Consecration. You don't want to let, like, I'm letting my Consecration fall down because this guy can't hurt me, and that's bad. But you never want that to fall down. But you don't want to use it too much either, because you want to keep that up. Now, with your Shield of the Righteous, and I'm looking at my rotation because I'm talking about it, you want to make sure you have 1 stack left in reserve. Okay? Yes, it's a little harder when you use a Seraphim build. Okay? But you never want to have 3 stacks. You always want to be juggling down to about 1. Okay? Now, you just keep on attacking, and that's pretty much your rotation. If you have Judgment up, you use Judgment. It doesn't matter what else is proccing. Judgment is the most important thing. Make sure you keep your Consecration down. Judge. Always using Judgment. I should never ever have stacks of Judgment to use. You know, there's going to be times where you're stuck in a global cooldown. Like, I could not get enough. I couldn't hit the button fast enough. I can't get enough haste going to get rid of all my Judgments I had there. Alright, and that also meant I went full up on my Shield of the Righteous. Okay? Just got lucky on some stuff. And that's your rotation, man. So, yeah, I didn't realize this was going to have such a stupid scaling. Anyway, I was going to see what my damage was. But that's really your rotation. Get out of the fight, use your Crusader. Takes forever for that to fall off. And guys, that's how you play a Protection Paladin. And please, if you like the video, go ahead and like and subscribe to this channel, Buzz the Noob. Next week we're going to be talking Brewmaster Monk. I've been playing that. I started re-leveling getting some gear on him yesterday, having a ton of fun. And we want to talk about the best raid tank. Again, Prot Paladin, the Swiss Army knife of tanks. And thanks, guys. Have a good day. You can also find me on Twitch. Bye.